I'm Sandy Gabe. I'm the AAUW California president, and I'm pleased to join you this morning to kick off this amazing event, the culmination of the 2024 GovTruck program. I'm pleased to see family members, program volunteers, judges, branch members here to support our GovTruck participants who spent the last few weeks learning, becoming inspired, working hard, and preparing for the final projects you'll see today. This is the second year of the GovTruck program, or as I like to think of it, the aha moment program. I hope that you've had an aha moment along the way. Aha moments can take your breath away. They can be surprising. They can literally put the pieces together. For our program participants, your aha moment may have come when you were watching and engaging a speaker. Perhaps you were introduced to a concept that was new or presented in a different way that caused you to challenge your assumptions or biases. For our program team, based on last year's experience, I'm sure that you've had at least one aha moment where you were amazed by your team as you watched them pull pieces together from what appeared to be chaos. For our speakers, I suspect that you had an aha moment during your Q&A sessions when you were delighted at the insightful questions that were posed and you realized the audience was not only listening, but digesting what you said. And today, I'm confident that we may have another aha moment or two as we watch the videos and realize that our future is in good hands. These women are our future. They ask the right questions, they search for the best solutions, and they will lead us confidently into the future. On behalf of myself and the AAUW California leadership team, I'd like to thank our program director, Shauna Rule, and the rest of the program team for their dedication and support in another successful year. Shauna?
Thank you, Sandy, and thank you for your leadership this year and last as we kicked off GovTruck. Welcome to the second inaugural GovTruck finale and campaign competition. Together, we are elevating the next generation of women in leadership. GovTruck Program Director and AAUW California and Public Policy Chair for the San Diego branch. Let me share my screen quickly. Working with this new generation of young leaders over the past several weeks makes me optimistic about our future. They are impeccably polished with just the right amount of swagger, and these future leaders are ready to run the world. They just need more seats at the table. Like Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg said, women belong in all places where decisions are being made. So let's give them that opportunity. Following our opening remarks today from Miss Lisa Matz, nonprofit consultant and former AAUW VP of Government Relations and Advocacy, we'll have the pleasure of experiencing 5 student campaign team videos, live Q&A with judges, and awards. The audience too, you will have the opportunity to vote on your favorite campaign team during the People's Choice Awards. So don't go anywhere. Quick background on AAUW for our guests today. The American Association of University Women, founded in 1881, is the nation's leading voice on equity for women and girls. Its national membership of 170,000 members and supporters seeks to advance equity for women and girls through research, education, and advocacy. People of every race, creed, age, gender, sexual orientation, national origin, and level of physical ability are invited to join. At AAUW California, our mission is to facilitate California branches in meeting the vision and mission of AAUW National by providing programs, education, and resources like GovTruck, like our Tech Check program and our Speech Check programs. So why GovTruck? Well, our goal with GovTruck, a virtual statewide program, is to engage young women across California who are high school juniors and seniors with the goal of elevating a new generation to pursue careers in public service and elected office. Participants have learned about career paths and career journeys from legislators and guest speakers, and engaged in a team competition to create a realistic campaign simulation, which you will see today. Participants have met peers from across California. They've sharpened their public speaking skills. They've written speeches. They've designed political flyers and digital ads. They've conducted audience analysis for voter outreach. All of this making their college applications stand out. Diverse young leaders from across California have spent 7 two-hour Saturday sessions together in this interactive program. And we hope that our participants are leaving energized, informed, and armed with career ideas, connections, and inspiration to make a positive impact in the world. So we are so excited for you to meet the second GovTrek cohort of California. But before you do, we would like to introduce our guest speaker, Lisa Matz. We are honored and humbled to introduce Lisa Matz. Many of our members may know and adore her. Lisa is a nonprofit consultant and our former AAUW National VP of Government Relations and Advocacy, and she will kick off the campaign competition today with her opening remarks. Lisa Matz, former AAUW VP of Government Relations and Advocacy, spearheaded the campaign that led the passage of Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act and other crucial women's rights and civil rights legislation during her 15 years with the organization. After working on Capitol Hill for Rep. Carolyn Maloney, Lisa represented women's equity groups on Capitol Hill for almost 25 years. She is a savvy advocate and engaging speaker with a reputation for her strategic and creative approach to all things government affairs, grassroots advocacy, and nonprofit management. After moving back to Northeast Ohio, Lisa became the senior advisor at Ohio Citizen Action. She is now an independent consultant working nationwide, specializing in gender equity issues, grassroots advocacy, and nonprofit management. She works primarily with membership orgs and continues her public speaking on a variety of invited topics. Lisa is a Phi Beta Kappa graduate of Ohio University, has 2 master's degrees from the Ohio State University, and has held an adjunct appointment with the Women and Politics Institute at Ohio State University and American University. Let's give a warm welcome to Miss Lisa Matz.
Thank you so much. I'm so pleased to be with everybody this morning. This is something that is a highlight for me. I was fortunate enough to be a judge last year, and I'm going to do it again this year. And the reason why I came back is because of these young women. I want to thank also my friends at AAUW California for putting together this amazing program, following in the wonderful footsteps of the STEM Trek and also Speech Trek. But just in general, the great work of AAUW California and your branches is really something to take note of. But really, why we're here is for these young women and the enormous amount of work that they've done on a volunteer basis. Just like the AAUW members are volunteering to run this program, these young women have volunteered to give up 7 of their Saturdays and a significant amount of time beyond that to learn about public life, to learn about civic responsibility, to learn about public policy and advocacy. And that is incredibly notable and, quite frankly, needs to be awarded regardless of the judge's outcome today. So I really admire that, because when we talk about improving society, community service is one of those things that really always comes to mind. And unfortunately, we don't always have enough of it. So the reality here is that we have young women who are interested in it, who want to learn about how to do it well, and who, beyond that, want to be leaders in this field, whichever way they end up going in terms of whether they go to school, out to college, or to work. This is going to be, I think, a transformative experience for them in terms of lessons learned and how they can apply them moving forward. One of the things that I also need to note here real quickly, you noted I said 7 Saturdays. You noted I said all the work that went into them putting into their campaigns. I want to also thank the parents. I know we've got some parents online here who supported your daughters in doing this as well, because that kind of support means a lot. It can make a difference in terms of girls moving forward in such occupations that are, I still think, in many respects, non-traditional occupations. So that also is something I really want to note. Now, part of the reason why I'm so excited about this is because for my own life, working in advocacy and public policy, doing community service of that sort, truly has been a transformative experience. It's been the guiding light of my life. It hasn't just been the career in terms of how I earned my living, but it has been literally what has fed my soul and kept me going even in tough times. There are challenges, there are successes, there are wonderful accomplishments, and I expect all of that for these fabulous young women as well. This is a life that can be occasionally a mixed bag, but the rewards far outweigh any at the costs. And it's really when you focus on it and see the larger picture that you can have a sense of how not only the good you can do, but how much pleasure and sense of accomplishment that you derive from doing this work. I want to thank my sister judges as well, who have been engaged in this work as well for their careers. Excellent examples, both of them. And so I'm looking forward to watching the videos with them and their comments as well as we move forward and judge. But I do want to make sure that, again, we recognize what a great intro to public service this is, and that we stress part of why we're doing this is because we need more women in public service. We need more women in politics. We need more women of color in politics. And I can tell you firsthand, with a career now spanning 30 years of advocacy work, that we get better decisions when women are at the table. It's as simple as that. So this is not only the right thing to do, it's literally kind of, in some respects, going to be our savior in terms of good decision making, good policy implementation, and truly listening to community members and so forth. So I'm particularly excited about that because I've seen time and again how women at the table at all levels of decision making can not only make the difference in terms of what the decision will be, but also in terms of the quality of the process, the quality of the implementation, and their sense of how to collaborate and to get diverse parties at the table talking to each other. It's a unique skill that we bring, and I can't wait to see how these young women put those skills to use. So let me kind of stop there in terms of opening remarks. I want to thank everybody again for being here. I want to thank again the young women and their parents. I want to thank AUW California because the amount of work that went into this is huge and your commitment is wonderful. And I want to thank, again, my sister judges as well. So everybody's participation today is a really wonderful sign of commitment for the future of women in these roles. And for that reason, I think the future is bright. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. We are so grateful for your continued support of AAUW California and of the GovTrack program. Let's welcome our other VVIP judges who you will see during the Q&A portions of our program. Regina Luzencourt, Director of Government Affairs for Toyota North America and former press secretary for State Senator Parker. Regina is based out of Washington, D.C. and the Baltimore area. She's a senior political and legislative director, having led successful state and federal campaign programs, resulting in the passage of more than 5 transportation and labor citywide policy resolutions, protecting transportation workers and their jobs. She collaborates with allied partners, labor unions, policy specialists, and elected officials, meeting with statewide and municipal leaders across the country. Her expertise in engaging social media outlets, local and regional press outreach has contributed to increasing the importance of these issues. Our third VIP judge is Ellen Montanari, who started on Congressman Mike Levin's campaign in 2017 during his first run for Congress. Prior to working in the campaign, she owned an executive development firm and a small publishing company. She never had any intention of working in politics, but with the political climate in 2017, she felt she needed to jump in. She is currently the Congressman's deputy campaign manager. So welcome our VIP judges. And like I said, you will have a chance to see them and hear from them and learn from them a little bit later in our program. Before we show you the amazing campaign simulations from our future leaders, let's finish up with a quick look at the competition categories and awards. With the prizes up for grabs, this gives you an idea of what the girls have been vying for. Our VIP judges will be evaluating campaigns on established criteria to identify the best candidate speech, the best campaign management, the best voter outreach plan, and the best campaign ad and flyer. And of course, the grand prize team will be awarded for the best overall campaign. What do they receive? What are the awards? For the grand prize winners, all team members will receive internships. Those internships are to be determined based on their location. And we work with our wonderful AAUW members to find local and relevant internships for opportunities for our girls. All category winners, including the grand prize team, will receive GovTrack merchandise, which may include a t-shirt, a tote bag, and a pen, plus a copy of the Empowered Citizens Guide. It's a book that provides 10 steps to passing a law that matters to you by author Pat Libby. Pat Libby is a longtime nonprofit leader, consultant, academic, and founder of the Nonprofit Institute at the University of San Diego. And all GovTrack graduates will receive a certificate of completion. So for the girls on the call, the students on the call, I just want to make that clear. We've made a change in the prize, in the awards. Previously, we were just going to award the students that were responsible for the campaign management, for the voter outreach plan, for etc. But because we have a slightly smaller group, we've decided to award all team members prizes. So if that gets you even more excited, I hope it does. So let's get started. Let the competition begin. We have 5 teams, like we've said, that will be playing their campaign simulation videos for you. So they're about 5.5 to 6.5 minutes long, each of them. And following the videos, we'll ask our student leads to turn on their cameras and their mics and engage for Q&A with our judges. So this is the campaign team order. First, we're starting with Abby for Senate, and let me get that video up, and we will see what our future leaders are going to do for us. Let's get started with Team 1.
Yes.
So this is Abby for Senate.
Abby and her campaign team would now like to share a brief message with you.
Hi, my name is Abby Rader and I'm running for Senate to represent District 7. I'm advocating for the protection of reproductive rights and homelessness outreach. I stand up for these reasons because they matter to me. I am prone to mass ovarian cysts, and due to that, I've been on a medicine regimen that includes birth control for its hormones. If that reproductive medicine gets taken away, it could be threatening to my health. In addition, my grandparents live in San Francisco, and I visit them very often, and the homelessness population has been at an all-time high in recent years, leading to a rising crime, making me worried for my grandparents and all people's well-being. As a candidate for Senate in District 7 of California, I believe it's necessary to confront the complex issues of homelessness, especially given its direct impact on San Francisco and the border communities, including our commuters in District 7. Recent surveys have shed light on the primary factors contributing to homelessness in San Francisco, with job loss emerging as a predominant cause, followed by mental illness and substance abuse. At the local level, support for homelessness service programs is essential, providing facilities for temporary shelter, assistance in securing permanent housing, and comprehensive support for the families struggling with homelessness. Embracing innovative approaches such as the Housing First model and coordinated entry systems can speed up the transition to stable housing arrangements, ensuring fast and equitable access to housing resources. Furthermore, initiatives like the Host House programs tailored to the unique needs of homelessness youth showcase the potential for interventions that address the issues from various angles. As previously stated, one of the core causes of homelessness is mental illness. 46% of unhoused people have mental illnesses that they're not aware of, and most of these illnesses go untreated. As a candidate for the Senate, I am committed to combating homelessness and prioritizing the well-being and dignity of all Californians, striving to enact meaningful change through the collaborative and comprehensive efforts in regards to mental health and housing issues. As your candidate, but more as a woman in the United States of America, I believe that all women should have access to reproductive rights. If you are unaware of reproductive rights include prenatal services, safe childbirth, access to contraception, and access to a legal and safe abortion. These rights revolve around a woman's ability to make the best choices for their life regarding having a child, medical repercussions that may come while having said child, or other health reasons. In 1973, the Supreme Court established the legal right to access abortion nationwide with its decision Roe v. Wade case. On June 24, 2022, the Supreme Court of the United States accepted the state's invitation to overturn Roe, eliminating the federal constitutional right to an abortion, in which states can decide their position to permit or prohibit abortions and other reproductive services. This was the day our rights became at risk. Following this decision, numerous states have nearly banned abortions. I'm speaking to all women in America. Our rights are at risk. States who permit abortions have had a substantial increase in the amount of abortions, which suggests that people are traveling long distances to seek abortions to bordering states. As your candidate, I promise to fight for the basic rights all women should have. In addition, I want to institute more reproductive access for my district. Women should not have to travel over 100 miles to access their reproductive needs. While I'm a candidate for the Senate 7 districts of California, I'm also a resident of this district and face the critical issues I've outlined in this speech. Whether it's my grandparents' safety and the safety of our commuters in San Francisco or our rights to birth control services, these are issues that cannot be ignored any longer. I will be a voice for the entire district, so I ask for your support, whether it be through volunteering for my campaign or donating financially, but I especially need your vote. The protection of our citizens in regard to the homelessness epidemic and our reproductive rights are imperative to our success as the district. I am Abby Rader, running to represent you, District 7, for a seat in California Senate. Thank you for your support.
Want to find out more about Abby and her mission? Find these flyers and ads on social media or posted in areas near you. These flyers are located in easy-to-reach places like schools or shopping centers and contain the links to our socials and website. Contact us through the links provided to find out how you can help Abby so that Abby can help you. Also be sure to visit our website, Abby for Senate. This site includes a brief description of Abby's goals and mission, as well as frequently asked questions that Abby and our team have responded to. At the top, you can view our pages. You'll see that we have a page on Abby's main goal as candidate, as well as a page for questions. Abby has taken time and care to respond to your questions thoughtfully and thoroughly. If the question you wish to ask is not here on our page, feel free to email us and we will respond as soon as possible. You will notice that at the bottom of each of our pages, our social media accounts are all linked. At the bottom of our goal page, you can also find a list of our team members and the roles that they played in Abby's campaign. One of our more common questions involves donations. We want to assure you that your money is used directly on our campaign efforts and that Abby is working hard to make sure you see the direct impact of your donations reflected in your community. Donations can be sent online or in person during any of Abby's visits or public speeches. We want you to have all of the facts, so make sure to contact us at the email provided or through any of our socials. We also recognize that many of the people in District 7 speak Spanish as well, so we've made sure that all information provided is also available in Spanish. Here is our goal page in Spanish, as well as our question and answers page in Spanish. Vote for Abby and see the change that you deserve.
So that was Abby for Senate. Impressive, right? I am always blown away by these young leaders. A quick reminder, please, as you watch the videos, take note of your favorite teams, because you'll have that opportunity to vote for your favorite team in our People's Choice Award. So write it down when you're really feeling strongly about voting for these young ladies. So let's have our team leads for Abby for Senate turn on their camera, unmute their mic. It may be helpful if you raise your digital hand so we could spotlight you. And let's do some Q&A with our wonderful judges.
Well, I want to thank everybody, obviously, on this team for Abby, for the good work that they did. Clearly, a lot of effort went into it. And I think I and my sister judges have a few questions. One of the things that I will say I liked about the work that you put into this is that we had several campaigns that talked about doing Spanish language stuff, but you actually did Spanish. You put the Spanish language stuff in there. You did that work, and I, for one, really appreciate that. I'm curious, in terms of your policy specifics, though, my question is that you went into some detail about your policy specifics, and I'm just curious about kind of the research that you did to, get there and make decisions about how you wanted to present them.
Hi, I'm one of the campaign managers. A lot of the research we did started with looking at just like the kind of people in District 7 and what our population looked like in terms of race, in terms of gender, in terms of issues that they might be facing. And then I think Abby, our candidate, and our speechwriters, they definitely tried to connect Abby's own personal experiences to a lot of that. So it was just kind of finding connections between Abby herself and the population in District 7. A lot of our research also focused around main issues that those individuals faced, and also reasons why we thought they may or may not come out to the polls to vote. So for example, a lot of the population in District 7 we found was single working moms. So we kind of incorporated that into both the issues that we focused on in our campaign and then also in our voter outreach plan. So looking at how we would then cater our message to those single working moms, and also how we can make it easier for them to donate, how we can make it easier for them to vote for us, what would connect those single working moms to Abby. And that's kind of what we did for each of the main issues that we found.
So I'd like to ask a follow-up question, if I could, based on Lisa's question and your answer, Mia. It was Mia, right, that was talking? Yeah, okay, good. I have a question about reaching those single working moms. I mean, we all, anyone who's on this call who's been a single working mom, survival, especially when your kids are young, is first and foremost, and finding the time to research candidates and even getting out to vote is very difficult. I know in our district that would be the group that's least likely to get out and vote. So what would you do specifically to make sure not only that you've educated those moms that you're talking about, but also making sure that they actually vote on, in California, that election month?
Yeah, so something we did recognize was that like a lot of people are on the go and may not have a lot of time to sit down and research candidates and things like that. So we wanted to make our information, we wanted to pass it out in forms that were easy, quick, easy to pass by hand, and like word of mouth and things like that. So that's why it was shown in some of the video, but like a lot of flyers and things like campaign ads through social media, but also like physical pieces of paper were kind of our main plan of outreach. And then locating those flyers and ads in places like schools, in places like stores. I know like when you go shopping, sometimes you'll see booths and signs set up outside of areas like that. And then like schools, I know that like where I live, like schools end up putting out like ballot boxes and things like that, and signs and flyers. So those are areas that we're assuming that those single working moms would, pass by, and we recognize that they might not have a lot of time. So having, things that they can easily grab is really nice. And then something that we also kind of wanted to touch on was like having booths or things like that, areas that we're setting up like physical, I don't know what to call them, like setups, I guess, having access to like for those women who are helping volunteer for our campaign, giving them access to like childcare and daycare options so that they know that their children can be safe and like cared for while they're also, if they wish to like help us be physically in person, helping our campaign and things like that.
Thank you. Both of you did a great job. I just want to commend you both. I mean, to really everyone who took the time to do this, because I know you want to do it in a way where it's authentic, but also there are certain guidelines that you just can't stray from, as you mentioned, messaging, branding, but also targeting. I'm curious. I mean, this is sort of looking at it from a different lens. What was your inspiration in putting your campaign together? I'm sure you have seen campaigns in your areas that have used different tactics, but it's a two-part question. And then also, what do you think your campaign may have offered that was different that you haven't seen? And if you don't have that, that's fine. I'm just curious. So the first question, what was your inspiration? And then two, what maybe you've incorporated in your campaign you haven't seen in some campaigns?
I think a lot of our inspiration kind of came from the area that we live in. A lot of us, even not in District 7, kind of surround the Bay Area. So that's kind of where we got a lot of the inspiration for the homelessness epidemic section. And then also, since we're all women, and just Abby's story was also a big part of why we wanted to focus on that as well. And then the second part of the question, what our campaign might have that others might not.
Maybe you paid attention to a particular campaign, like, oh, they were missing this. Maybe we incorporate something within our strategy that we thought would have worked in a campaign that we paid attention to, researched. I'm just curious to see if you've had that conversation among your team.
Yeah, I think we wanted to really connect with women, especially through Abby's story, as I had mentioned before. I think that's kind of what we wanted to incorporate into the campaign to try and set us apart from the rest.
Hi, my name's Abby. I don't know if I'm pinned, but I can expand upon this. I was the candidate. I don't think you can see me because I'm not pinned right now.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
Yeah. But I can expand upon this, in which The main reasons I advocated for the things I did, I mentioned it a little bit in the introduction to my speech, was that these reasons like strongly connect to me, in which I mentioned that my grandparents live in the city, and even though that's outside of District 7, like as we said, our commuters still are affected by the reasons San Francisco, and also the homelessness problem has shifted to Concord as well, and which is in our district. And these reasons all affect us. And in addition, the reproductive rights aspect, all of us can agree on that consensus, which we're all women in America, and like your own beliefs can like whatever you want, but in which, especially for me, it's strong because I have a health condition. I'm prone to massive ovarian cysts, and I've had surgery from this and everything. And due to that, I depend on birth control as a hormone, in which without that, then my health is at risk. And that I feel very strongly about that. And even if I didn't have that issue with me, I'd still like be so strong about birth control, reproductive access to everyone, in which every woman should have the choice in which she wants that or not, but we should have the choice. And then going prior, in which she said the question about our research, I forgot who asked that, but we did a ton of our research in which states that since Roe versus Wade has been changed, in which the states can prohibit or have reproductive access, the states that have lost it, like neighboring states in which they prohibit it, have had massive increases in the amount of abortion they've had and other reproductive rights services. So if that were to happen, like this is proving that people are still getting that reproductive access, but they're going farther away to get that. And I don't think anyone should have to go that far away to get a basic right that all women should have. And then I also said at the end of my speech, in which our district doesn't have that much reproductive access, in which like majority of women have to drive 100 miles to receive that. And I feel so strongly about that needs to be fixed. And hypothetically, if I were to be elected, then that's what I'd want to institute.
Thank you.
Excellent. And any more comments or questions from the judges?
No, I think I just would like to say that I appreciate the thoughtfulness of the research, and I say this sarcastically, but the really wonderful notion that maybe you should look at what your potential constituents care about in terms of what you might want to work on moving forward. So I really appreciated that as well. It's unfortunately not always central to political campaigns anymore. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and just to add, I mean, I think always having having your personal story tie into your reasoning and passion just gives a level of connection, but an opportunity to build that into personal communication, which I think sometimes get lost in involvement with social media. So sometimes people just sort of gravitate to that. But to Lisa's point, it's really about targeting the voters, or at least sort of balancing that in a way where you're saying, reproductive rights, because of my situation, this is why I'm passionate. But when you're mentioning all access to all, being just conscious and aware of that is to include those who may not identify as female, right? That there's other access and other options. And just because we live in a climate now where thinking about equitable access means, bringing in, children or whatsoever. And there's a variety of options. And that goes a little bit too deep and expansive, but it is still good to be aware of that. But like I said, kudos to all of you. Thank you. This was
fantastic, girls, and thank you, VIP judges. Your feedback is wonderful. It's like so helpful. So good luck in the competition, Team 1. Let's move on to the next team and get this moving. Thank you. I'm going to share my screen again, and we are excited to introduce team number 2, Vote Eliana.
We have one planet left, and it is our goal to green our way to success. Residents of San Ramon and fellow citizens, my name is Eliana Horn, and I'm running for council representative for District 1 in San Ramon. I stand before you not just as a candidate, but as a proud member of this community. My journey began right here in San Ramon, where I was raised in a family that taught me the values of hard work, integrity, and service to others. Growing up in San Ramon has shaped me into the person I am today, and this has instilled a deep understanding of the unique needs and challenges faced by our community today with climate conservation and sustainability. As a first-generation Asian American, it has given me a unique perspective which was rooted in deep tradition and care for my land. From a young age, I found solace in a connection to tending to my immigrant grandparents' garden. Witnessing the dedication my grandparents have poured into cultivating their garden has sparked my own concerns for sustainability and community well-being. These experiences have cultivated my numerous sustainable businesses that have directly helped the community. My goal is to create a more environmentally sustainable San Ramon, whilst also promoting our minority and small businesses. Our beautiful and clean parks, land, and space of San Ramon all contribute to the well-being of our citizens and climate. Our small steps for the next generation can lead to a big impact on the future of sustainability. All of our citizens deserve to have a happy, healthy, and livable San Ramon now and for future generations. The problems facing our community today are a production of greenhouse gas emissions, environmentally degrading energy usage through vehicles and buildings, and lack of support of small businesses. Firstly, I will plan to expand programs such as the San Ramon's Climate Action Task Force to Generation Z and to all of our members of our community. I'm fully committed to implementing and expanding initiatives to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 15% or lower by 2039 through mitigation measures by California Environmental Quality Act. Second, I will plan to enable solar energy through solar panels in our public spaces such as libraries, city center, and our local schools. I will also implement an increase of electric buses, autonomous vehicles, streetlights, and increase electric charges to promote cleaner energy alternative to regular degrading gasoline vehicles. This will ensure residents will always be provided a sustainable option to energy transportation, which will dramatically reduce our greenhouse gas emissions for the future generations. These popular public places and vehicles will be able to significantly reduce their carbon footprint through these accessible, sustainable measures. Lastly, I will create a San Ramon Small Business Initiative, which will provide public sources to promote your business, as well as providing tax incentives on small businesses who practice environmentally sustainable measures. These measures can vary from utilizing biodegradable products, utilizing solar panel energy, and reducing the amount of insufficient waste. As a small AAPI business owner myself, I'm able to support all the members of our community to green our way to success with the needed support, resources, and a guiding hand. Through the San Ramon Climate Action Task Force and the San Ramon Small Business Initiatives, we can further collaborate for resources in our community to involve with reducing our carbon footprint, waste, and collaboration for future improvements. Everyone takes an active step in saving our Earth, whether it's from choosing the greener option or advocating for sustainability. Together, we can play a role in reducing our carbon emissions, energy consumption, and reducing the impacts of climate change through our active measures. Through my community involvement and Asian American perspective, I am committed to serving the people of San Ramon for a greener future. I promise to be a strong voice for every member of our community, regardless of their background. And I will work tirelessly to ensure everyone has access to all our numerous programs and resources for them to thrive. San Ramon is a city with limitless potential and growth, which I'm able to lead and cultivate for the future. As former President Barack Obama stated, we are the first generation to feel the effect of climate change and the last generation who can do something about it. Vote Eliana Horn, the one for District 1.
This is our voter outreach plan. Beginning with our voter demographics, we want to target low-income communities, specifically those from an Asian American background, particularly women and young people. We really want to focus on targeting young people, as well as focusing towards middle-aged people, especially families with children. San Ramon's demographics are majority Asian, which again just furthers that we want to really focusing on Asian communities and ensuring that they have representation. Our voter recruitment plan includes door-to-door canvassing, donations, social medias, recruiting from community colleges such as Diablo Valley College, environmental organizations, and high school canvassing strategies include social media, door-to-door canvassing, community events, flyers, door hangers, merchandise, high school outreach, DVC engagement, small businesses, and teen council. Our timeline is now reaching out to DVC and high schools, week 2 to 4, door-to-door canvassing and distributing campaign materials, week 4 to 6, organize community events and engage with environmentalism organizations, week 6 to 8, intensify voter outreach efforts, including cell phone calls and text, and then week 8 to election day, focusing on GOTV efforts, ensuring all voters have the info they need to cast their ballot. Our website for Eliana's campaign, we have a contact us page with our social media as well as a Google form. Our mission statement page, which has enumerated the goals that Eliana has set for her campaign and her position in City Council, as well as a District 1 page with a map of District 1 and their demographics. And finally, an About Eliana page with her biography and background. This is our Instagram account for Eliana's campaign with posts regarding the subjects she talks about, as well as pictures of her. We've also hyperlinked our website and the
Fantastic job, Team Eliana. If we can have our team reps for team number 2 come up. Yep, thank you, raising your digital hand. We can spotlight you. Go ahead, judges.
Well, thank you so much for a really, I think, wonderfully thorough presentation. My first reaction is, Eliana, I do hope you run for office. That was a wonderful speech, and your delivery was truly good. And that's a hard thing to do, public speaking. To set pace, to be understandable, to kind of put things in the right order. So I was really pleased about that. The other thing was how your team and you put together or really wanted to focus again on your personal story. And that particularly came out in your focus on small business owners and also particularly minority small business owners. And you have no idea how timely that is, because minority business owners in particular are under attack, and services through various court cases are starting to be undermined and removed for them. So it's hugely important. And I just wondered if you might expound a little bit more on kind of how you came to wanting to really focus on small business when obviously there are lots of issues that need work, how this one really came to the forefront for you.
Yeah, this really came to the forefront for me because, as I stated, I have been an owner of many small businesses and I'm a minority, and having the proper mentorship and guidance, such as with GovTrek and numerous other programs I've participated in, has really helped and cultivated my passions for supporting others and supporting the future generations. As stated in District 1, we have many minority small businesses, and it's a necessary right that all of them have the support and guidance. And also through my leadership, such as I'm an active member in the San Ramon Teen Council, and I have been for 3 years, it's really made me understand the needs of our community, because I've done multiple researches on people's biases, needs, and I really talked to people in our community, and they've always suggested that they need the mentorship and providence. And then through my learning experiences, I want to help guide people as well as through my community to ensure that they have the proper guidance and support for running their small businesses when they're not sometimes supported enough or not getting the proper funding or support.
Eliana, are you 30 years old or something? I mean, businesses and your level of interaction, I don't even want to tell you what I was doing in high school. It wasn't this sort of thing. I have a question for you. First, I was astonished at the dramatic increase of Asian Americans in your area since the last census. I couldn't believe it. So I'm wondering, I have 2 questions for you. One is, I love how you are reaching out to the Asian American community? And what are you going to do in your campaign to make sure that the other ethnic groups are also, they feel heard by you?
So I'm one of our campaign managers, and to just touch on this, so we did focus on Asian American citizens because it makes up just the majority of the population. But in addition to this, there are so many existing organizations such as church groups, religious groups, community groups, just of other minority groups in the area, as well as white populations. So just making sure that we're focusing the majority of our outreach on Asian American citizens, but also not ignoring those other groups and really focusing on them and making sure we balance that out by focusing on attending Asian community events as well as other demographics, because you don't want to ignore that population. So focusing on as well as social media and just the generalized community outreach plans that we've established, especially into the community college and the young people in the community. So making sure that we don't ignore those other demographics.
I have one other question before we go on. One of the things you said that you wanted to target lower income voters. Can you talk a little bit about why you made that decision?
Yeah, so the lower income population, especially because they don't always have, again, as we've established, the time to vote. They might be focused on their job. And a lot of time we ignore that they are not even registered to vote. So focusing on registration of voters and making sure that we have the allocated opportunities to educate voters on how to vote and how to do it effectively with the time that they have. So focusing on that undermined voice, because when they're given the ability to register to vote and the education on how to vote, it really makes sure that their voice is heard and they're represented. So just allocating the resources to them.
Yeah, and to add on to what Sarah was saying, we also focused our voter outreach on young voters, and as getting many participants of our democracy and their voices, it will allow for a more functional society where all voices can be heard and we can take immediate action on their needs and desires to make a better community.
Okay, thank you.
You both did great. Congrats. I just took some quick bullet points. I just want to give you your praises. I thought no one, honestly, the music in the background was truly telling. I tell folks that to keep people's attention nowadays, there has to be some other movements, which, it does something for the mind and for anyone who is listening in. So I thought the music, but I also thought the moving pictures and the photos in the background didn't make it look too staged. So I thought that was great. I'm just looking at some stuff. The only thing I would probably recommend, and this is just more for great critiques, is when you are talking about your background and your grandparents and stuff, maybe have pictures or you're talking about cleaner energy, you have windmills and public transit, that sort of thing, so that it's connecting. But other than that, I thought that was great. Again, to Lisa's point, personal story. And I love that, you talked about building a task force. So it didn't feel like this is what I stand for, but this is how I'm going to, at least some steps to address this issue. I will say, on the issue, I think a lot of the issues you've touched on, one on cleaner energy, reducing greenhouse emissions, and small businesses. I think the biggest concern with you say low income voters, but even minority and diverse communities is they're not familiar with this issue, right? They're not familiar with, not everyone is. And, because a lot of it is the day-to-day issues that they're dealing with has no relation to this. In a lot of ways, these type of issues, they see this as, some folks may see this as a detriment to their working life, right? Depending what they're doing. And so I'm wondering, in your research, what are some potential opposition groups that you see that you could bring in to have a conversation about these issues and you running how you can attract their votes? Because what I have found is that we know how to talk to the people that agree with us, but how do you talk to the ones that may not agree with us?
Yeah, I definitely see your point on that. And just to add on to my past experiences, I've done research on cognitive dissonance, which is understanding people's like disagreeing perceptions and attitudes. And a way I would address this is through, again, the Climate Action Task Force. By having campaigns and asking people what they want from the community, what they're disagreeing with, we can strategically implement their suggestions and implementations. And like through our San Ramon's Climate Action Task Force, we're able to understand like what people need. So I know there may be some people that are fearful that like the increase of solar panels or sustainable energy is going to increase taxes, which is really detrimental to their already below level understanding of this. But I think a good way that we're going to address this is by, again, putting out those in-person campaigns, having speeches, and having even the younger generation talk about their experiences. Because when we have more people talking about it, more people advocating for sustainability, we're able to understand why people may be fearful of it, why people may be fearful of this new technology, and in order to like slowly get them to agree with the sustainability and agree with having these like small little implementations. Because in my speech, I said we're taking small actions towards a greater collective goal. By taking these smaller actions at first, we're able to see what people react to it or how should we change this to be more approachable to the population. And I think this is a good strategy in order to get like an opposing people to agree with our campaign implementations and to implement more sustainable measures that also coincide with their beliefs.
And I think in addition to this, another part of it that we want to focus on is attaining bipartisanship in this, because oftentimes sustainability is really hard to target bipartisanship because, as Eliana stated, people are fearful of raising taxes or increasing governmental spending. So one way that we've targeted the government side of it is by compromising and focusing on allowing for some hesitation within businesses and allowing for some time in transferring to more sustainable processes. So one way is by subsidizing environmentalism within small businesses and allowing for that more economic side of it to be less penalized and more supported within government. And in addition to this, as well as not immediately increasing taxation, but rather supporting it within the community and educating people on why sustainability is so important, and focusing on more like education of implementing small like household steps such as drip irrigation or solar panels, and providing some sort of government support within that. So,
I just want to say,
okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm just wrapping up. I just want to say thank you to Sarah, Ileana. I think someone mentioned that you see Ileana as a future candidate. I definitely see that, and I see Sarah as a future lobbyist. So thank you. Thank you.
One of the things, the only thing that I was going to say was, ladies, when you're talking about trying to quote unquote sell an idea like sustainability to people who may not be 100% in favor, is to do the WIFM, what's in it for me? So it's looking at who those target audiences are, whether they're lower income people who see this as, cutting into their income, or small businesses. What is your process, or what is your program? How is it going to serve them? And if you can articulate that rather than why it's good for the planet, if you can say what's good, how this is going to help you, like drip systems cuts down on the amount of water that you will have to pay for, those sorts of things. I think you'll go a long way. It was a great job, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, judges. And thank you, Team 2. Good luck in the competition. Let's move to the next team. We are proud to announce Melissa for Riverside. Let me go ahead and share my screen, and then we will watch their campaign video.
Good morning, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed citizens and guests, welcome. My name is Melissa Moreno, and I'm running to be a member of the County Board of Supervisors of the beautiful city of Riverside. I am deeply humbled and honored to stand before you to work alongside and work for the people, entrusted with the great responsibility of leading our community towards a brighter and more prosperous future. Our city is not merely a geographical entity. It is a tapestry woven with the threads of diverse cultures, histories, and shared experiences. I was born and raised here in a city rich with traditions, diverse with culture, filled to the brim with lush nature and intriguing architecture. Today, we come together not just as residents, but as a unified force, ready to tackle the challenges that lie ahead and to celebrate the countless opportunities that await us. As a candidate, my campaign prioritizes the important issues of substance abuse, housing insecurity, and diversity and inclusivity that these communities face. Substance abuse poses a significant risk to individuals, families, and communities, leading to health issues, social problems, and economic burdens. I plan to implement comprehensive programs focused on prevention, treatment, and rehabilitation. This includes increasing awareness through education and outreach programs in schools and communities, collaborating with healthcare providers for early intervention, and screening and enhancing access to affordable and quality treatment options. This all takes into account counseling, therapy, and medicated assistant program. Next, I plan to tackle the crisis of housing security as it affects individuals and families, leading to homelessness, instability, and poor living conditions. It's often exacerbated by rising housing costs and limited affordable housing options. I have a multifaceted approach, which includes zoning reforms to promote the development of affordable housing units and mixed-income neighborhoods. Job training programs that offer skill development programs to empower individuals to secure stable employment and increase their financial stability. And finally, to propose a tax relief legislation, which will introduce tax relief measures for low-income homeowners and renters to alleviate the burden of housing costs. But most importantly, diversity and inclusivity are essential for fostering a thriving and equitable society. Embracing diversity enriches communities, promotes understanding, and ensures equal opportunities for all individuals. I plan to implement policies that promote diversity and eliminate discrimination in all aspects of society, including employment, education, and public services, so that we as a community can ensure diverse representation in leadership positions and decision-making bodies to reflect the voices and perspectives of all members of society. I bring a combination of experience, empathy, and a track record of getting things done. I understand the complexities of these issues, and I have proven commitment to finding solutions that benefit all members of our community. I will work tirelessly to address these challenges head on, listening to the voices of those affected and collaborating with stakeholders to implement effective policies and programs. In the pages of our city's history, we find stories of triumph, growth, and unity. Today, we add a new chapter to that narrative, a chapter that will be defined by collaboration, innovation, and a steadfast commitment to progress. Together, let us write a story of success, growth, and inclusivity, a story that will resonate for generations to come. The best is yet to come for our city, and I am honored to be a part of this extraordinary chapter in its history.
For more information about me and our campaign and the issues I am highlighting can be found on my website that is noted on our team's campaign ads and flyers. This flyer emphasizes how I strive to create a fair and just society that works for everyone as a fellow member of District 4. The ad functions as a social media graphic that summarizes the issues I am ready to tackle and reminds voters of the November 5th general election. On my website, my team and I have included my slogan, vision, and our want to make a difference on how I plan on taking commitment to addressing critical issues. First, Riverside County is the fourth most populous district, with around 7,303 square miles of beauty, 1,142,800 amazing people working here, and 2,450,758 amazing people living here. The demographics of District 4 include 50.27% being Hispanic, 48.7% being non-Hispanic, 30.24% being white, 6.57% being black and 6.56% being Asian, as well as the high percentage of voters being Democrats over Republicans, and more youths being pre-registered as being Democrats. District 4 encompasses multiple cities, and my team have included the statistics of housing and household characteristics, economic and labor force characteristics, and population characteristics. The swing voters in District 4 are not attached to any political party. However, I do hope they are willing to vote for me since my stance on these issues affect everyone in District 4. My team's outreach plan and focuses on securing everyone's vote. Next, we have the latest updates on how I plan to tackle down the challenges of building a more equitable Riverside, my commitment to diversity, as well as me addressing substance abuse, which includes my plan for a healthier community, and tackling homelessness, my vision for a better Riverside.
Listen.
All right. I'm unmuted. Okay, I'm
Okay.
unmuted.
Girls, from Melissa for Riverside, can you raise your digital hands and we can spotlight you? Excellent. Thanks, Melissa and Vanessa. Okay. Judges, take it away.
Well, thanks to everyone who contributed to this project. There were several things that really stood out for me. Number one, I felt like as you were speaking, as the candidate was speaking, there was a really palpable love for your community. And that's a really wonderful thing, a contagious thing, and helps to support why you want to run. But I definitely felt that in your word choice and in your delivery, especially when you were speaking, you were largely smiling. And that's always good too. Although I would say to you, the picture that you chose for your ad has kind of you unsmiling and serious. And there's a place for those kinds of pictures, but I'm not sure that was it, given kind of the optimism and the collaboration you were talking about. So that's one thought that I had. But the other just question I wanted to ask was, you were one who really said something specific about swing voters. And of course, swing voters are, well, they're huge, but I'm wondering what it was that brought your campaign to focus specifically, or at least have that notion in your head that you needed to do something with swing voters if you were going to be successful and win. Any one of you can answer that, actually. You just have to unmute yourself, and then you'll be able to talk.
Can you hear me?
Yes, there we go.
Okay, so I really think that we should focus on swing voters because I understand that when people already have a set political party, that they're more likely to already vote in that political party. And when we focus on swing voters, and I feel like a lot of swing voters feel like their voice isn't heard. And if we really focus on that small group of people and we really try to gain their perspective and see where they find their differences and similarities are, will really help our campaign. And I feel like swing voters are the people who really suffer, and they just have a lack of education on who to vote for, or they just don't have enough resources to gain access to that education on who to vote for. And I feel like a lot of people, and right now, they are struggling with their views on politics and everything. So I feel like really focusing on swing voters will give us that access to helping more people in the community and getting more education and learning about what we need to focus on more.
Thank you so much, Vanessa, for jumping in there. I really appreciate that. It's critically important, swing voters. In many respects, it's the mushy middle that makes all the difference in any election. So thank you for that. And the last thing I just wanted to put in there was that I really, in terms of the positive nature that came out to me in the speech, part of it was that you were particularly effective in terms of talking about what you were for, not just simply what you were against. And it's important to know what you're against. But a lot of times people want to vote for a positive, not a negative. Not always, it depends. Campaigns will do polling and they'll figure out which messages work. But I always like to hear what you're actually going to do, not just what you're actually going to, put a stop to.
If I were to restate your question, it would be what would work with the community that addresses poverty, correct?
No, not necessarily. I was just talking about how I like that you had, you really talked about what issues you were for and what you were going to do instead of talking about or only focusing on what you're against. It's very common in today's divisive politics to really only do that. And I did see that as something that I appreciated about your campaign.
Okay.
Lisa, you stole my thunder there too, because I was going to talk about swing voters. You were the only ones who did that. And coming from a district where the swing voters are the ones who make or break our strategy, I really appreciated what you said. And you just lost somebody. What was the name of the person who was just talking about why swing voters? I can't remember her name. There you are.
Vanessa.
Vanessa, yeah.
There's Vanessa.
And
Welcome back, Vanessa. We missed you.
Yeah, you're back. Okay, sorry,
Sorry.
Vanessa. We lost you on the screen, and it's too early in the morning for me to remember someone's name. So Vanessa, and I thought that your description of why that's important was excellent. I really do. What we're finding around the country now is that, especially in the primaries, is that the far left is getting out and voting, the far right is getting out and voting, and we're not seeing the swing voters as much, and we're not seeing the moderates in each party. So by you addressing those folks, and like you said, I thought you said it so well, giving them a voice, oof, I'm taking that back to the campaign.
Thank you.
Congrats, y'all. I enjoyed that. To Lisa's point, I did notice the stark difference between the flyer and the presentation. I want to emphasize.
I wanted to add on something about the flyer. I am actually smiling in it. It doesn't seem like I am, but I am smiling in the flyer and in the ad. I'm just going like this.
Okay.
But
okay.
it doesn't look like, it looks like I'm mad, but I'm not mad at all. I am smiling.
Well, shame on us for assuming that because we didn't see more of the cheek dimples that we assumed that you were not smiling.
But also, Melissa, that's good feedback, that if we didn't see it, that maybe taking that warm smile that you had in your stump speech and bringing that to the photo would be amazing.
And I'm going to give everybody a tip here that was given to me that I always appreciated. And that is, Barack Obama was famous for having his official photo that went up in all the federal buildings be a smile, but not one that showed teeth. So you can smile without showing teeth, and that's fine. But one of the ways that I've found to do it to make sure that I'm not kind of having a little droopy mouth that makes me look like maybe I'm unhappy or gassy or whatever it might be is when you think about how you feel about smiling, what you should really do is think about what your neutral face feels like. And I guarantee you most people's neutral faces are not smiley faces. It's just kind of the way muscles relax. So when you want to have like a half smile, a Mona Lisa smile, what you should do is feel like your face is making a small smile. And there's a palpable difference. And when you give your face muscles that feedback, you'll come into it kind of a little a little friendlier. And of course, in politics, that's very important.
For the sake of time, I won't, I was going to touch on the swing voters, but I think we've touched on it enough. So again, you guys uniquely touched on an issue that is critical and is very, is playing in today's election, as you are all witnessing. So kudos to you three for thinking and highlighting that. So great job.
Yes, thank you, judges, and thank you, girls. Good luck. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Let's move on to our fourth team, GovTrek Girlies. I will share my screen and let's get going. This is Ada Palaio for U.S. Senate.
Imagine sending your kids to school every day not knowing if they're going to come back home. This is what kids in school live with on a regular basis. But it doesn't have to be this way. My name is Aida Palaio, and I'm running for U.S. Senate for the state of California. Growing up, I never saw candidates that look like me, Latinas and daughters of immigrants. I understand the impact of a lack of representation and what it has on our policies. We need voices that truly understand the struggles of marginalized communities. As a second-generation immigrant and a daughter of hardworking parents, I am committed to being that voice. As we gather today, I want to talk to you about the priorities that drive my campaign for U.S. Senate of the state of California. 3 critical issues that demand our attention: gun violence, immigration, and poverty. Let's start with gun violence. It is a scourge that plagues our community, shattering lives and tearing families apart. I am committed to restraining the automatic weapons ban because weapons of war have no place on our streets. Next, let's talk about immigration. As a second-generation immigrant myself, I know firsthand the challenges that immigrants face in this country. We need a comprehensive immigration reform that addresses the backlogs and ensures a fair and efficient process for those seeking to make a better lives for themselves. That is why I will fight to promote legal assistance programs for immigrants navigating the complex legal system. We must also prioritize asylum seekers and provide federal funding for programs that help them transition into their new lives with dignity and respect. Finally, let's address the issue of poverty. It is a stain on our society that so many hardworking families struggle to make ends meet. Implementing a minimum basic income would be a game changer, providing a lifeline to those struggling to make ends meet, to ensure that every person in the community has the opportunity to thrive. Imagine a community where safety is not a privilege, but a right, where families are not torn apart by the fear of violence, but united in peace. Picture a place where every person, regardless of their background, has a chance to thrive and succeed. This is the future that we can create together. As Dolores Huerta once said, instead of imagining a brighter future, let's start taking action to make it a reality. Join me in making a difference. Vote in this election for a better future. Your vote is your voice, so let it be heard. Thank you for your support. Si se puede.
Let's start by looking at California's voter demographics, which are diverse and dynamic. California has a large Hispanic Latino population, significant Asian and African American communities, and a wide range of income and education levels. There's also an urban and rural divide, with densely populated urban areas and sparsely populated rural areas. California has a relatively young population compared to the national average, with a significant number of young voters. Additionally, California has a large immigrant population. Our outreach efforts are tailored to these unique characteristics. Our volunteer recruitment plan is comprehensive and includes several key strategies. We start by identifying target volunteers from local organizations, schools, and community groups that share our campaign's values and mission. We then utilize multiple channels such as social media, email newsletters, and our campaign website to reach out to potential volunteers. We also host recruitment events, both virtual and in person, to introduce our campaign and attract volunteers. Our canvassing plan is crucial for engaging directly with voters and building support for our candidate. We start by identifying target areas using voter registration data and prioritize areas with high voter turnout and potential for persuasion.
We recruit canvassers from our supporter base and local community organizations and provide them with training on effective canvassing techniques. We develop canvassing materials, such as campaign literature and voter information, and use technology for data collection and voter engagement. We establish a canvassing schedule, organize canvassing teams, and engage with voters on key issues such as poverty, immigration, and gun violence. Data collection and analysis are important for informing our campaign strategy, and we follow up with voters to encourage voter turnout. We have developed specific messages for volunteers to share with prospective voters on key issues such as poverty, immigration, and gun violence. These messages highlight our candidates' commitment to addressing these issues and inspire voter support. Our outreach strategies are diverse and include social media engagement, email campaigns, community events and forums, phone banking and text messaging, door-to-door canvassing, collaboration with local media, digital advertising, partnerships with community organizations, and volunteer mobilization. These strategies are designed to reach a wide range of voters and engage them in our campaign. Our timeline includes several key milestones, such as campaign kickoff and volunteer recruitment, building community partnerships, voter registration and education, issue-based campaigning, Get Out the Vote, GOTV, efforts, and a final push leading up to Election Day. Thank you for your attention, and we look forward to your support in the upcoming election.
Oh, simple thing, where have you gone? I'm getting old and I need something to rely on. So tell me when you're gonna let me in. I'm getting tired and I need somewhere to begin.
Hola, my name is Aida Pelayo and
Incredible, just incredible. Aida, if you're on the call, I apologize for mispronouncing your name. If we can have the girls, the team leads, raise their digital hand, we can spotlight you. Okay, wonderful. Okay, I got Aida and Emmy. You're next. There we go. Judges, please take it away.
All right. Well, once again, congratulations to the team for putting this together. Another particularly good speech and speaker. I really loved her, Aida, your hand gestures. I know that can sound strange, but you were good at emphasizing where you needed to without the hands going all over the place, which can be distracting. So that's the sign of some polish there, which I was impressed with. I think that your emphasis on an issue-based campaign was really important. Out of all the teams, you guys really focused on your messaging. And messaging in many respects is what's going to win for you. It's like, repetition is the key to learning. You find what you want to say and you say it over and over and over again. So I think there was a smart sense of that. So I guess in terms of a question, I would ask you a question about kind of how you would reach out to younger voters and immigrant voters, which can be notoriously hard, like poorer communities, to get to the polls for all kinds of reasons. And so I would just put that question out there because I think you're right that there's a lot of unmined voters there, but boy, is that a tough one.
Yeah, hi, my name is Emmy Landers. I'm the campaign management lead for Aida's campaign. Regarding young voters, we do have a lot of social media outreach that we've been working on because it's very popular with younger generations. Specifically, we have multiple accounts for TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, emails, so they can easily reach us on their websites. We also want to be able to use these to outreach to them. We have multiple other online strategies such as endorsements from local politicians or other organizations that align with us. So as a practice, we did reach out to some politicians with a letter to see explaining what GovTruck is. And so we were able to get a response back from a city councilwoman. So we believe that of San Luis Obispo County. So we believe that having and active engagement with young voters online can get them out to vote, especially.
Great, wonderful. And Aida, I hope that you will actually, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, I hope that you will actually also think about running. That was persuasive, and you're charismatic and passionate, and that is sorely needed, but also just plain old attractive to voters. So you all did a great job.
Thank you.
So, team, congratulations. That was an amazing job. I especially liked something that somebody hasn't mentioned, is something I haven't seen on any of the other videos so far, is your very concise messaging for volunteers on the different issues. That was terrific. Dealing with volunteers every day, getting them to be able to come up with that concise sentence was amazing. I personally am loving watching all of these presentations because I'm taking notes about things that we can do here to improve what we're doing. Aida, I had a question for you. You spoke a lot about immigrants and making it easier for them when they're here, and all the services that they rightfully need. One of the things that voters are going to be asking about, and I'm going to ask you about, is what about the flood of immigrants coming in or trying to come in? You talk about what to do when they're here. The voters are going to very much be interested in your plan for what's happening at the border right now.
Yes, so for those immigrants, like you said, waiting at the border, I think that it's important for our campaign to focus on like the staffing there and making sure that their process and being safe and ensuring that they're being treated, humanely, and that kind of has to relate back to kind of the backlogs to get them processed and everything. Just we want to make sure that everyone is being treated with not only respect and dignity, but with humane processing into they're coming here to kind of transition their new lives. Because I think that not only, kind of like you were saying, is it important that when they are here that they're getting the support and the resources that they need, but it starts from their process into coming in here. But yeah, I think.
So what about those people who are saying shut down the border? All of that. I mean, because we're in San Diego County, and it's pretty intense here. Most of the arguments are coming from people who are actually away from the border, who've never been to the border. So how are you going to answer them when they're frightened about all these hoodlums that are coming into the country over the border?
I think that it's important to use like statistical evidence, but as well, these people who are kind of disagreeing kind of already have their mindset. So I think it's important to acknowledge their agreements and kind of say, okay, but this is what, if they can this is how they can benefit you. And if you help, I think that, this population can greatly benefit our society as a whole with things like their entrepreneurship and how they're helping our economy and overall businesses.
Good answer. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your talents and this amazing campaign. My son is 12 going on 21, and I can't even get his attention on just the simplest of subjects. And so I'm helping him with civics, and we're talking about jury system and things that I love, but he doesn't like. And then somehow I went online and I was like, let me see if I could find some amazing dramatic video that'll grab his attention. And I played it. In the first 2 minutes, he was like this. That is an example of what, the beginning of your video did for me. I think, I tell folks that we're in a climate of sound bites, especially when you're talking to younger voters, where people want to get information readily fast, in a way that it's attentive. It's like going to the movie and seeing, the previews. If they're not catchy, if it's not drama, if there's not noise, or some of that stuff is playing into politics more so than it did in the past, when maybe a lot of that vision and imagery was through text, right? Through print. And so I I applaud you both. I applaud you both for doing that because I think people are forgetting that that part of communication is critical and it's important, and branding and messaging is important. Toyota, I work as a lobbyist, but I'm always constantly thinking about how we're delivering things and what's our brand and who are we talking to. And it's never like a million long jargon. It's what's catchy at the moment. So that said, kudos to you all for that. I think it's worth saying. Just a question I have, because the issues you've highlighted are clearly some of the most controversial issues that we're seeing to date. And I think aside from what I believe would make your campaign successful, what community groups you would, I guess, go after in endorsement, but work with to amplify your message? Because it's one thing if the candidate is saying it, but what are some that you can name that, you know, what you think would be impactful for a successful outcome of this election?
Some organizations that could help with gun violence, for example, would be Every Town for Gun Safety. And then regarding immigration would be the American Civil Liberties Union. I think those are two of the biggest organizations that we're trying to focus our campaign on.
Yeah. Sorry. And just adding on to that, we all just various other grassroots organizations for poverty, also food banks, housing assistance programs, gun safety alliances, in addition to the two major ones. And sorry again for interrupting.
No, you did not. It was for both of you. Thank you and great work.
Thank you.
Yeah, we always want to hear from both of you. That's why you're both here, and you both did some great work, I know, with the rest of your team. So we really do appreciate it. And thank you. Thank you. And thank you, I got to say, to all the teams. This is just for me, but I bet you my sister judges agree. Part of why I love doing this is because I just find the whole process so encouraging, so wonderful in terms of young women who are coming up who are going to be doing this work. I feel like that things are going to be in good hands. So thank you.
Absolutely. It almost brings a tear to my eye every time. And Emmy, thank you for reaching out to your local city council person on behalf of GovTrack. I appreciate that. We want to spread the word about this amazing program. And Emmy also mentioned, I cut the video short, so let me play the end of it just for everybody's benefit.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll move on to team number 5. Okay, so let me do that. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, judges.
Please go to aidapelayo4ussenate.com. You may also reach us using our Twitter, email, Instagram, and TikTok. Here you can also find out about what she stands for, the issues that she will be addressing. You can purchase merch, as well as yards, banners, and buttons. If you wish to volunteer, you can also go ahead and fill out this form. If you want to know the voter outreach plan that we plan to assess, it will also be on the website.
Team Vote Delicious.
Last year, the blue skies over my hometown were blotted out by hazy plumes of gray smoke. The air grew thick, the sun became an eerie shade of orange, and wildfires ravaged the countryside. This is the reality of people living in District 49, where dangerous air quality severely alters aspects of daily life. My name is Delisha Dopa, and I'm running under the Democratic Party for a seat in the House of Representatives representing the 49th Congressional District. I am passionate about environmental justice and conservation, and I decided that I wanted to enact reform in District 49 so that we can keep our community a beautiful, safe space for all. Working as an environmental lawyer, I've collaborated with nonprofit organizations such as California Action Corps to take action against policies that exacerbate the negative environmental impacts of climate change. Additionally, I offer something that other candidates do not, a breath of fresh air in our district's political landscape. My journey as a woman of color has shaped me into a leader who brings a diverse perspective and a genuine passion for making a positive impact in our community.
As someone born and raised in District 49, education is my priority. My nieces and nephews are about to enter kindergarten, and I too want to address the crucial need for educational resources because I also share a desire with parents in District 49 to see our children succeed. With the support of local school boards, I will become a member of the House Committee on Education and the Workforce, where I can advocate for the funding of free after-school programs such as the NEO Youth Center. Countless students suffer from academic pressure. Thus, I plan on establishing school education programs that spread awareness on mental illness and work to destigmatize it. Additionally, I'd establish community support groups with trained professionals because we as officials have a duty to offer fellow community members emotional and psychological support. We also have a responsibility to protect our environment. In the House of Representatives, I will join the Select Committee on the Climate Crisis, focusing on the wildfires and coastal erosion frequent in District 49. I will work to combat wildfires through policies that reduce flammable vegetation, applying biofertilizers, and etc. Furthermore, I will pass legislation that works on creating buffer zones and building a barrier wall to restore the Metrolink train rail. So let's go back to the scene of wildfires. With me in the office, the bright blue skies of hope and change will prevail because there will be policies that protect District 49 from the harmful impacts of climate change. Children will go to school knowing that there are resources in place to help them succeed. Community members will feel confident that they have the mental health support that they need. And the economy will boom and transportation will reach far up the coast. America was built on the backs of people who are not afraid to push against the status quo, patriots and changemakers who fought tooth and nail for the rights and freedoms that our citizens enjoy today. I am the product of democracy, and I intend to strengthen that democracy by enacting legislation for the will of the people. If elected, I will work tirelessly to represent each and every one of you with honesty, integrity, and a touch of feminine flair because let's face it, politics could use a little more diversity and a lot more empathy. I ask you now to take action and fight with me for a future. This is our district, our home. I ask you to seek a brighter tomorrow for yourselves and your children. Thank you for your support, and I cannot wait to work together to improve District 49. Vote for me and let's build our future.
To learn more about Delicia's campaign, voters can visit Delicia's website at votedeliciadopa.com. Highlighted here is Delicia's campaign flyer. We've included her district, her slogan, as well as her three main goals of fighting climate change, education reform, and expanding mental health efforts. At the bottom of the flyer, we've reminded voters of the November 8th election and also placed the name of her website at the bottom. An alternate Spanish version of this flyer is also available, as well as a written document of Delicia's speech translated in the description. On Delicia's website, we've included that she's running for the 49th Congressional District, her slogan, and a photo of her. Voters can scroll down on her website and identify the core issues that she plans to tackle throughout her time in office. They can read about these issues and see what plans she has to combat the problems in the 49th Congressional District. On her About page, voters can familiarize themselves with Delicia and her experiences. They can support her cause by clicking these donation or volunteer links and stay up to date on her campaign by subscribing to her newsletter. Voters can also access Delicia's Instagram account straight through her website by utilizing this link below. Delicia's Instagram was created to appeal to the younger voters. On Delicia's page, we've included highlights with topics she's passionate about, including climate change and mental health. On her page, we've also included many eye-catching graphics that are translated into Spanish as well as in English, so many voters are able to have access and understand what's going on in Delicia's campaign. We've included candidate testimonials, posts about our district, and also ways that voters can get involved in her campaign, along with linking her website. We've also included moving flyers that are even more eye-catching to appeal to all of our audiences and get the word out about Delicia's causes and campaigns. Lastly, here is Delicia's voter outreach plan. Her voter demographic includes 57.1% white non-Hispanic residents, 27.5% white Hispanic residents, 7.37% Asian, 2.52% African American, and 5.5% other. The majority of the 49th district are adults aged 30 to 40 with families. 469,000 people are registered voters, with 36% being Democrats, 33% being Republicans, and 22% with no party affiliations. Her goals are outlined again, that include fighting climate change, achieving educational reform, and supporting mental health. Her volunteer recruitment plan is that we plan to recruit retired individuals and politically minded students at local universities such as Miracosta College, San Diego Mesa Palomar, and CSU, engaging members of the community to network on social media, distribute flyers, and more. Her budget allots 35% to voter contact and fundraising, and 15% to both operations and donations, with a total of $2 million. For outreach, we plan to do lots of fundraising and voter contact that's outlined below. Her timeline is also outlined below, with specific events taking place within the months prior to the election. And contact information is listed below, including her website and her Instagram. Let's build our future by voting Delisha for District 49.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Okay, can we please have girls from Team Delisha raise your hands? Oh, there we go. Is there anyone else with you today, Delisha? Yep, there's Madison. Hang on. There we go. Welcome. Take it away, judges, please.
All right.
Let me start this time, Lisa, since this is my district.
Oh, that's a great idea. Didn't even think of
And you know,
that.
Delisha, not to put pressure on, but you know, you're talking about something I've been working on for several years now. I really loved your all of your media that you were using. That's again, you know, something I know our campaign doesn't do so well on Instagram and things like that, in my opinion. And it's another thing that I want to steal from you. And there's a couple. I think there's at least one other that of the teams that showed their Instagram ideas. So love that. One of the things I want to point out is at the very beginning, you showed the orange sky and the Golden Gate Bridge, and that's not in San Diego. We don't have that much air pollution problems because we're a coastal district. What we are concerned about is San Onofre, which is nuclear power. So just, you know, I think it's being aware of your audience and doing a little bit of work on that would have been helpful. I do have a question for you. That you said you were in a couple places that you were going to do radio, and you didn't mention TV. And I'm wondering, and this may be a question for your campaign manager, of why you chose radio instead of TV.
So I'm the field manager, but we decided that the television wouldn't be the optimal way to go just because cable has been like less and less popular lately. And I know a lot of people in our area, they listen to the radio on their way to work and on their way to school. So it's an easier way to reach more people while also conserving our budget for other effective means of communication.
Great job, ladies. So Lisa, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead, Lisa. I didn't know if we were going to go,
No, that was great, Ellen. I'm glad you brought all those things up. And I would just add, in terms of television, it doesn't have to be specific to cable. Good digital ads look oftentimes like shorter TV ads. So they're cheaper and can reach a more targeted audience in a lot of ways. So that's a great thing to think about. I got to tell you too, that one of the things that I really appreciated about this campaign was you actually talked about a budget and fundraising. And, if you're going to run a campaign, you have got to raise money and you have to know how you're going to spend it. And spending of campaign finance dollars is strategic. It's a very strategic thing in terms of how you spread it out. And as we've talked about, what you spend it on. So I really want to commend you for that. My biggest question, I think, truthfully, is, and you know what, as a lobbyist, and I think Regina will appreciate this, the fact that you mentioned that you'd be on the Ed and Workforce Committee makes me very happy. So you talked about your committee of jurisdiction, but that's just a little picky. That's just a little picky thing. I think the biggest question I had, truthfully, was talk a little bit more about kind of your social media plan. I mean, you mentioned Instagram, but TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. The only reason why I mentioned that is you want to reach young voters for sure, but more older voters turn out and they tend to use other platforms. So how would you kind of tailor your social media to get to the audiences you need to get to?
Madison, do you want to take this one? Because I think it's more like outreach.
or I can take it.
I think you should probably take it because I think you worked on it with them.
Yeah, so that's a good question. Like in the video, a lot of it was through Instagram, but another thing, we made that website. So I think in the voter outreach plan, we mentioned like door-to-door canvassing, road signs, word of mouth, radio production. So I think those would also be ways that I guess older voters could hear about what I'm planning.
I want to thank you both and the rest of your team for participating in this whole project. It's clear that you learned a lot, and we appreciate you sharing that with us. Regina, I'm sure you have stuff you want to say because you always got something good.
Oh, well, the hype is amazing. I was no, the one thing I did want to talk about was the fundraising. So you brought that up, but I guess just some feedback. One, thank you both. I'm assuming there's a third person in this group, or no? Just you?
We had a group of 5, but 2 are representing.
All right, so you all did great. Just some notes and critiques, so just to consider. You had a lot of good information, and the research. You can tell you guys did some great you all did some great research. I would just be mindful to take your time, because there were times where I was trying to grab information, and it just seemed like you wanted to jam everything in there. So just to be mindful of that, because you want people to receive what you're giving, and that's not just for this project, but moving forward. So, but other than that, I thought the information was great. Some of the stuff visibly was hard to see, and so think about when people don't have an opportunity to hear your story, read your story, that they're looking at images, right? And so clarity on images and images that are attention grabbing. We talked about the woman smiling in the earlier campaign feedback. It goes beyond just that. We're really talking about connecting with the constituency, with your voters, and then being able to see who they're actually voting for, right? So it was a little blurry other than that. However, I think looking at the entire orbit of where you would see what committees you think would be possible to join to address some of these issues, I thought was really, really impactful. You sometimes don't even hear candidates say, "Hey, if I get elected, I'd be interested in this committee." You almost always hear that once they're elected. And oftentimes when they do get elected and they choose that specific committee, it's because, there's a core interest, and then there's fundraising, benefits there. And I think you all mentioning fundraising is, for some people, could be a dicey subject, but it is very necessary topic to talk on, because you're in California, so it's one of the most expensive media ad buys. So just being realistic about that approach is amazing. I guess I want to on fundraising. What would be some of the fundraising ideas that you would, or events that you would put out to attract a diverse group of supporters and have them meet them where they're at in terms of their funding capabilities, etc.? What would that look like?
So some of the fundraising activities we were thinking would help would be like things like crowdfunding, where we have volunteers help us out and communicate with our communities. Some of the other ones were like rallies, where people could donate to either our cause or other causes that relate to what we advocate for. We have donation pages. I think somebody mentioned it in our video. And we were also going to include like grassroots campaigns so that we can get more communities, like organizations that are local to that area, that can contribute and that can advocate for us and help spread the word and also contribute to our cause.
Awesome. And consider out of the box fundraising tips and ideas. I bonded with a newer member of Congress, and she's very passionate about the environment. And I don't really work on environmental issues, but I did want to raise money for her, because I just, in my own capacity, not for my job, but what would be something she would be interested in. And so we had a, like, you know, we could think about a flower planting. We did a flower bouquet making. And it grabbed a lot of attention from not only people, you know, within that work, that my counterparts that work in other corporations, but I was able to bring some of my other mom friends, and for an issue that everyone, you know, believed in, but also an activity that was interesting, and was able to raise a lot of dollars for something as simple as like building beautiful flowers. So yeah, so just sort of these thinking out of the box ideas, and allowing people to donate wherever they are. So even if it's $1 to, you know, $1 million, that's not me, that's probably Lisa or Ellen. But, you know, just to kind of get an idea. And I kid about that, I'm just, you know.
Well, you know, the
job.
other is our proximity to LA and the entertainment world, bringing in a big name for a fundraiser. I mean, I don't know if you remember when Beto O'Rourke had Willie Nelson, they filled up a football stadium. And I'm not saying that you would necessarily do that, but finding somebody who would be willing to come, who shares some of those, especially environmental values, I think that's an easy one to target, or reproductive rights or whatever. I forgot, I had written down committees. I'm glad Lisa and Regina, you both brought that up. That was incredible. You don't get to choose your committees. The speaker does that, or, you know, the minority leader. But coming in and saying, this is what I want to do, that was incredibly impressive. I didn't know that till I started working on the campaign, and I can't believe you even thought about that. So that was amazing.
Okay, well, thank you, judges, and thank you, ladies. Good luck in the competition. At this point, we are going, or the judges and I are going to meet in a private breakout room to deliberate. I need to quickly say that for GovTrack Girlies, Ada Palayo, your video, I made the mistake of not showing all of your campaign ad, and I apologize for that technical glitch. Just to be transparent, our judges have seen the full videos prior to today, so they did see your campaign ad, and I will make sure to remind them in the breakout room. So good luck. We'll be right back. I'm going to hand it off to Ms. Randa Bland, our GovTrack Zoom host, and she's going to conduct the audience choice awards or poll. I'll be right back. Thank you.
We'll give you about 5 minutes to do the poll, and maybe they'll be on their way back. But then after that, you can open your, in fact, you can do that while you're doing your poll. You can open your whatever you want to say and talk to each other. But when they come back, obviously, we will ask everybody to mute again. I'm going to end the poll now. And are we ready to share the results? We will see these results before we hear who the judges voted. So I'm going to share the results.
Oh my God, yes, let's see the results. Wow. Everybody did so good. Everybody did amazing.
Thank you, everyone, for your patience. It was not an easy decision. There were some close calls, and Lisa Matz is going to share with you how the decisions were made and who's won. But first, I just want to take a quick minute to extend a huge thank you to all of our GovTrack volunteers. We could not have done this program without you, with your talent and your commitment to the 2024 program and our future leaders. We want to specifically thank our committee and our facilitators for your endless time that you put into making this program a success, and your passion came through. We are so grateful for your support. Please continue supporting GovTrek. We love you and we appreciate you. Just want to give you a shout out, a public shout out. So with that, the results are in, ladies. Drum roll, please. I'm going to hand off the mic to our guest speaker, Lisa Matz, and she's going to announce the winners for us.
Okay, and you'll bring up the slide with each category. Is that what we're doing?
I certainly will.
Okay, so are we doing overall winner first, or are we starting with the subcategories?
Let's start with the subcategories.
Okay, and what's the first? Tell me the first one.
Okay. Candidate speech. Or are you saying the name of the team?
I'll say okay, you know what? I'm sorry, when they changed us back into the room, everything changed on my computer and now I can't find half the stuff.
Oh, it's okay. I have the name.
All right, here we go. I think I've got it. And I just need to get back to the total. So I want everybody, and I want to thank everybody for your patience, including me just getting things ready there. We really deliberated. This was not easy. And that's a testament to such great work from all the participants. So I'm really just amazed, not only at how great the work was, but how much we really had to deliberate. And we came to a decision, but this is not easy. So anyway, the first one that we're going to talk about, we're going to go through overall campaign team, stump speech, campaign management, voter outreach plan, and then candidate flyer and campaign ad. And then at the end, we're going to talk about the grand prize. Okay. So the first one is overall campaign management, and that is,
Actually, Lisa, can you start with candidate speech?
The stump speech?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm sorry. So the stump speech is going to GovTrek Girlies. Congratulations.
All right. Next up, if we could do campaign management.
And then campaign management, that is going to Melissa for Riverside.
Yay!
Congratulations, Melissa for Riverside.
Voter outreach plan.
And the voter outreach plan, this was one, again, we really deliberated. The voter outreach plan goes to Vote Delisha.
Congratulations.
So excited for all of you, all the great work that you did.
And next is a campaign ad and flyer.
Yeah, candidate flyer, campaign ad, and that goes to Abby for Senate.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Abby for Senate. Did a great job there.
And that takes us to our grand prize team.
Yes, the overall, the grand prize team is Vote Eliana. Way to go, Vote Eliana. You won the whole beans, but boy, was this a tough one for us to judge.
All right. Congratulations. And vote, I'm not trying to take your thunder, but Vote Eliana also won overall campaign team.
That's right, which is probably not surprising given they had the grand prize. So just the fact that you can see that things are kind of distributed, it was very close. And I want to thank everybody for their patience. We took it very seriously because you took it seriously, and we didn't want to judge it any other way. So thank you very much for all your effort, and I will turn it back to Shauna.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. So I hope that the girls on the call all feel excited about the awards that they've been given and the experience that you had with GovTrek. We do invite you back to join us next year. You certainly deserve everything that comes to you. Keep on dreaming, keep on shining, girls. You are our future. Thank you so much for participating.
Yay!
All right. We will be in touch about your prizes, girls, and your internships and your GovTrek swag. So thank you again, and we'll talk with you soon.
Any other questions while we wait for them to come back in?
I had a question.
Yeah.
How many girls originally signed up and how many girls actually participated this year?
You know, I think Shauna would have to answer that one. I know that I think one of the judges was a little confused because all the teams were at least 5 people, I believe. Is that right, Tomasa? I think so. 5 to 7 people. Stephanie, you maybe can answer that too.
Yeah, we had 7 on our team. That was Team Delisha. So I think, 5 to 7, I think was the range, and times 5 teams.
So the math is like between 30 and 35 girls participated this year. Is that correct?
I guess so, yeah.
I think we had a small dropout rate. You know, these girls, these are juniors and seniors. They are so busy.
Yeah. Our branch suggested possibly including sophomores. We would think that sophomores and juniors would have more incentive to be able to participate, to put on, say, college applications. The seniors, they're already done with that whole process, and so they're off playing and things like that. So we were wondering if it's possible to include sophomores into this program.
And our branch suggested that they consider doing freshmen and sophomores in college. Because they're really some of them have really decided that that's something they really want to pursue. And again, thinking that they could, the age range is not too far, that they couldn't actually work together. So that's another thought.
Okay. Can I ask a question? You're recruiting for girls. Can you recruit like 5 girls from Petaluma and do that? Or do you just go to the schools and ask those girls if they want to register? The biggest thing I'm asking is what do you do for a team? Can we do a whole team from Petaluma?
Absolutely, yes. We just ask that you can ask whoever you want, and it's just kind of on a first come first serve. Whoever registers, if the majority are from Petaluma, then we could do that. You know.
And can we also have the facilitators of the people who help them on the Saturdays from the AAUW women?
Yes, yes, you can do that. That's kind of what we did this year as well.
Now, is there one more thing? Is there any requirement for the registration other than complete interest?
No.
No grades or anything like that?
No, all they need is just to commit and a parent permission form, and that's it.
Thank you very much. That's the biggest question I've been trying to find out. Thank you.
I had one more question if there's time.
Sure.
Another thing our branch had talked about was once the girls have signed up, and say like we know that there's 3 or 4 within our communities here, could we be in touch with these girls to keep them interested in the program, to make sure that they don't drop out? All we knew was their names, and we weren't given any other ways to communicate with them. Is that something that we could do in the future?
I think at the end of this, Shauna would be sending to each of the closest branches the girls so that you can follow up on these girls.
Oh, but
I
she
had the
needs.
same question because I really thought that if I had been able to reach, we had 4 girls in my town who signed up, and if I had been able to reach out to them, go out to coffee or ice cream or something, or just coach them a little bit, it would have helped a lot. And they all were really excited, and they all dropped.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. Maybe we can give this feedback to Shauna for next year because maybe we could give you guys their emails and you guys can, if you volunteer to stay in charge maybe of those girls and just kind of motivate them, and that would be amazing. You don't necessarily need to be a facilitator. You can just be just a facilitator assistant or just like a branch. But that would be amazing. That's a really good idea, Melinda and Suzanne.
This is
I love
being
that.
recorded, and so Shauna will be able to look at this later. And so, any ideas that you want to bring forward now, it's a good time.
Should we put it in a chat? Would she get this information in the chat box if we typed it up for her, and maybe with our email address, she could get back to us?
Yeah,
or does she not see the chat?
Why don't you put in your names and then your email? I'll screenshot it and then I have a meeting with her after this, so I'll go ahead and give her that information. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
I want to say one thing about the idea of local coaches, if you will. The one thing that's really good about this is no matter where the girl is in the state, she has an equal chance to participate and to do well based on her own ability. If we have groups of people, branches who are encouraging and sponsoring and coaching these girls outside of their time together, that starts to become a little uneven in their connection to people who know what they're doing. And I would be cautious about that because right now it's a really even playing field. Most of them don't know each other. They're communicating completely through Zoom, and in their homework time also, if they choose to meet outside, they're doing it together as opposed to with someone coaching them along. So that makes me a little queasy.
No, I totally agree with what you're saying. And what my purpose was just to let them know that we are very proud that they've signed up. We're just an encouragement, not about, what they're going to be doing in the program, but just to touch base, let them know that, we're here locally and we hope that they continue on. It didn't have, our feeling was not to encourage, to help them with the actual content of the program, just a contact that we know that they've signed up and we're very proud of them. And so that was really just our purpose of being in touch with them.
And I think,
I agree.
and I agree. I think that's the same. I agree with that, is that we had 4 sign up and one of them dropped out because she, kind of didn't have anybody supporting her. And I think it would have been helpful if, like the teacher at her school had been able to say, hey, I hear you signed up for this. I'm really glad. If you have a question, come to me and I'll help you, or something like that. Just some kind of contact from an adult.
This is
Rebecca Gomez. I'm one of the committee members. Just to make a couple quick notes. Yes, we have talked about expanding the number of girls either down to sophomores. I think we made an exception. We did allow 1 sophomore in this group. We have talked about doing freshmen and sophomores in college and perhaps putting them maybe in a different competition than the high school, but at least allowing them to do that. When we did the initial recruitment, we actually had a meeting to, number one, how to recruit girls for the program. And secondly, I think it was Melinda that mentioned just to kind of keep in touch with them and just to encourage them to stay with the program, not necessarily to coach them through their video or the content of the course. Because that was really our intent when we tried to recruit, was to encourage the branches to stay in touch with these young women so they would continue. We know it's a huge commitment, especially for the juniors and the seniors. We ran into lots of issues with athletics because this ran over basketball and softball seasons of both the winter and the spring sports. A lot of tournaments and competitions that I would encourage you to in the chat. We can download the chat because that will certainly help. So thank you.
She was number 4.
Yeah.
So I voted for right. Melissa Moran.
This is only the second year, so it's still a thing in progress. And I think that it could only get better with more suggestions and working out the best way to handle this.
Tomasa, did you have anything else to add?
No, no, I didn't. I was just going to say that the encouragement part is, I think it really is a good idea. I know I had to do a campaign simulation last year when it was my first year as an intern, and I was very, I was very like nervous. I didn't know what exactly how to do a voter outreach plan, or so I had to really dig in and learn. But so if I felt that way, I could only imagine these girls who probably have not learned as much in college or etc. And they have been amazing. And I even like with my team, I always tell them like, hey, I know it sounds like a big project, but we're going to take it step by step, and even just such words like that just eases their anxiety, because I think that's part of the reason why I think a lot of, especially as women, I think one of the things that we do to ourselves is we underestimate ourselves, right? So, which is why a lot of us don't really run for politics, which is, I think words of encouragement are definitely needed, and just words of affirmation. So, Melinda, Suzanne, that was a really good suggestion.
One of the exciting things that they added this year was that they offered the ability for the girls from last year to come and help out the team. And I thought that was a really smart thing to do.
Do we have a overall chairman of this whole thing that who you can ask for questions by email?
Yes, Shauna is in charge of this program.
Do we have a name and an email?
I don't have it right in front of me.
It's govtruck@aauw-ca.org.
Thank you, Sandy.
You're welcome. And Tomasa, you don't have to screenshot the chat. It'll be downloaded automatically at the end of the meeting.
Okay, sounds good.
Saved you some time.
Yeah, thank you.
They must be having a hard time with this big decision.
Everyone did so good. Everyone did so good. I was taking notes too. I'm like, that's good. That's good. I was getting ideas from all of the videos for next year.
It's nice to hear from the AAUW members about what we could do better, but I would love to hear from the students who participated. I think their viewpoint about what we should keep no matter what, or what we could do better, is very valuable. I don't know if any of you who are participating today would like to chime in, but we are very open to any constructive suggestions you might have. Thank you.
Is there a survey of the student participants? I had thought there was. Like, yeah, right. Becky's nodding. Yeah.
Hi, this is Barbara, and I do have one suggestion. The very first presenter, her video, I could not hear it clearly. So the volume was different on her video than everybody else's. And I know it's not my computer because I was able to hear everybody else clearly. I wondered if anyone else had that issue, and that's feedback back to the girls who present next time, that somehow they need to use equipment that that has a volume setting that's, that'll carry through.
Well, and I think that not all the girls have probably the best equipment, but I know all I did was turn the volume up on my computer and it worked great.
Some
I
reason,
did that
when it's in the webinar setting, I was unable to turn my volume up anymore.
I also turned up my volume, but you have to exit full screen to get to my volume on the bottom on my bar. So maybe for the future, exit the full screen to get to your volume.
Okay.
And they were encouraged to use the best equipment they could manage. But again, setting up standards that some kids might not be able to meet is problematic, I think. Then the playing field isn't level. So, but just a note that people sometimes have trouble hearing them, and that to make sure their volume control is up would be a smart thing to do.
I think when they're submitted, this is Sandy, that when they're submitted, we can also take a look at them and try to adjust the volume if necessary.
Hi, I'm just one of the students, but I did want to say, like, in the future, if anybody needs, well, it's not real equipment, but there's an app called CapCut, and it can help you with volume settings as well as like video settings. And you guys can like encourage the students to use that in the future.
Great idea. Thanks.
Thank you. And we hope some of these students will want to come back and help the next year's group. Did they get lost? They couldn't come back?
Hi, this is Frances Brosner from Long Beach. This is my second year watching the finale, and I watch it because it is, as other people have said, so inspiring. You young women have done a phenomenal job, and it's just amazing. Thank you for all
Yes,
you.
thank you.
And I'm hoping you actually do get out there and run for an office. And also run for an office, but also support running for an office.
Yes.
The lobbyists were fantastic, and the people who put together the admin portion. There's a place for you everywhere. Thank you for doing it.
The reason I liked being involved, because I only did the background of the Zoom kinds of things, is so that I could hear the speakers, because the speakers that they had at the beginning of it are just wonderful to share with these young ladies. And many of them offered their emails to be a help to them.
Yeah, that's great. So are we going to get to hear the results?
Yes.
Judges?
What would the internship for the grand prize team, what kind of internships are offered as their prize?
Somebody from the committee know what got offered last year? I don't know.
This is Rebecca Gomez. It will really depend on the location of the girls, so that we can determine what might be a good fit. We've had some offers from some of the speakers as well as some other folks that were willing to do internships. But it's a matter of location, as to what type of internship we can provide.
Thank you.
I think they forgot about us.
Oh, I'm sure they didn't.
Randa, do you want to send me to the breakout room and I can check and come back?
Sure.
Thank you.
Wait, let me go find the wrong place. Now I have to find you. Are you in with your own name? Because I know we had a
Yeah, let me see if shoot.
Rebecca.
So they're on their way back. I just
Okay.
went and
Okay, great.
Thank you.
asked.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Can you close the breakout room? Just
Yeah, I'll close them. I closed them.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
It,
Oh,
it
gosh.
takes them a minute for them to go away.
Okay, I'm going to, may I take the floor? I wanted to do just a few words to thank our volunteers before we announce the winners. If that's okay. Great. I will go ahead and share my screen.